This is in regard to appointment of primary teachers as booth level officers by the election commission. All the petitioners before lawsuits are primary teachers. All. There are ITL lawsuits.
Election Commission of India, is anybody there?
I represent.
Election Commission of India. All right.
Kindly see the appointment letter at page 41. One of the appointment, there are little variation is there in letter of appointment. Your lawsuits will find this has been appointment letter has been issued in terms of section 13B subsection 2 and section 13CC. I will take your lawsuit section 13CC. Before that, I just place before your lawsuits. After the box column, he or she is appointed as the booth level officer against the polling station specified in column 1 of the above table, and following terms and conditions are imposed upon him. After rationalization of polling station, the name and number of the polling station will change. Keep the polling area almost same. I request your lawsuits kindly see the nature of duty one after another. I will not read out your lawsuits. Kindly just go through your lawsuits, the number of duties assigned to me. Up to at least your lawsuits, handling of multiple entries, door-to-door visit, electoral roll maintenance, special campaigning days, present at the polling station. According to my assessment, it's a full-fledged day-to-day work. It's not for holidays or all that. Now your lawsuits, kindly then your lawsuits. If I'm a primary teacher, kindly see the last column. Please note that section 13CC, that section 13CC of the representative, your service shall be deemed to be on deputation to the Election Commission India, and you will be held responsible and accountable for any negligence or breach of official duty. Any such action shall be firmly dealt with under the provision of section 13(2). I request your lawsuits kindly go to the section 13C. CC. 13CC. Exactly in the same term. As we have learned from the law college, deeming provision is stronger than the normal provision. So I am under the as soon as this appointment letter has been issued, I am under the election commission. I am on deputation. In common parlance, in service jurisprudence, deputation means from one cadre to another cadre, from one department to another department. Does he suggest, therefore, that I am not to discharge school duty? I am putting a question to myself. Considering the nature of duty and the provision of the act. The act kindly take note of a specific period. Here, the appointment letter do not specify any period. Your lawsuits, there is a language, your lawsuits. Specific period. If I take you good. 13CC. The officers referred to in this part and or any others employed in connection with the preparation, revision, and correction of electoral rolls and the conduct of all elections shall be deemed to be on deputation to the Election Commission for the period during which they are so employed. This is lacking in the in appointment letter. They have not dealt with. They have only said it. The work. Work means revision of electoral roll. Your losses can have a look at it. This is for revision of electoral roll. The very first special summary revision. Very first nature of work. So I have been employed by the Election Commission for revisional of electoral roll.
Where do you get that revision?
Your losses presence at polling station.
Presence at polling station.
Present at the polling station during the entire period of the special summary revision. And section 13CC says that, my lord, for the revision of electoral roll. So, my first submissions, this is not clear. Where am I to work? I have no objection to that. But I cannot discharge dual duties like this.
What is your school timing?
School time 10 to 4.
10 to 4.
10 to 4.
All right.
This is one of my submissions. Then your losses kindly consider this. This came up before the Honorable Supreme Court. I take your losses one. Then I will show how the Election Commission sought to amend it. This is reported in 2008, volume 2, SCC, page 390. Paragraph 29. Only one paragraph I will rely upon before your losses. Kindly similar to section 29. With an advent of technology, requisitioning of a large number of people for carrying out the election may not be necessary. We may notice that the Election Commission has different roles to play. Preparation of electoral rolls, revision of electoral rolls when objections are filed, hearing of the parties and determining the objections, enumeration of the voter list to hold election as and when due. The Election Commission and its officers, in our opinion, can formulate an effective scheme to see that the services of a large number of teachers are not required. This is the objective lawsuits. The state admittedly is not in a position to perform its sovereign function of imparting education. Such functions necessarily are required to be performed by private actors. Those students who are in a position to get admission in public schools, presumably who also be in a position to appoint tutors, whereas those students who are admitted to the government schools ordinarily would be from middle or lower middle class or poor families. The state of primary education in India is in deplorable condition. There admittedly is heavy dropout from the schools, particularly from amongst the girls' schools. The question if right to exercise franchisee, whereupon the emphasis is laid by Mr. Venugopal, is an important one. The right to education is also no less important, being a fundamental right. But after this jolt from the Supreme Court, the Commission has from time to time issues order, not like a comprehensive scheme. I will take your losses to the last order of the Election Commission. Your losses kindly take up the last one at page 71. The others are there, Malad. I think, Malad, this is because the last one in the Election Commission will respect their own regulations like this. 71 your losses. Now it starts 4th October 2022. Now your losses kindly take note of this in the second page. Booth level officers can be appointed from the following suggested list of categories: government or semi-government employees. They have put the teachers first.
Which portion are you reading, please?
Page 71. The last office order or their orders, comprehensive instructions.
Yes.
This is of 4th October 2022. The bottom at the page, appointment of booth level officers. Booth level officers are to be appointed by the electorate registral officer under section 13B2 of the Representation of the People Act 1950. After obtaining approval of the district election officer, they shall be deemed to be on deputation on the Election Commission of India under section 13CC of the RP Act 1950. Then you'll see next page. Booth level officer can be appointed from the following suggested list of categories: government or semi-government. Teachers have been put at the top. I don't know whether it is in consonance with the Supreme Court views or not. Then your losses kindly see the next page. Page 73, continuation of this thing. Following points should also be ensured before deployment of BLOs. Point number D. Teachers shall be drafted minimally. I have an averment in the writ petition that in a particular block, 90% of the teachers are BLR primary teachers. 90%. I can give you losses data. I have. Therefore, their own action, we have to read together. Even if you have kept the teachers at the top, that doesn't mean the teachers has to be recruited first. I should, according to the judgment of the Supreme Court, teachers to be the last.
Maybe possibly because of their status. See, the Anganwadi workers comes there, then that is the reason.
Maybe your loss, but therefore this has to be with clause D.
Yes, clause D.
Teachers should be drafted minimally as both level officers. However, where necessary, they should be drafted for both level of during holidays and during non-teaching hours and teaching non-teaching days. Is it possible to huge number of work? The purpose. I know, this is an exigency. They have the power. But the power doesn't mean that has to be exercised arbitrarily.
All right.
Then your losses will find my paragraph 7, page 19. These are the averments of the writ petition.
And are they the primary teachers in government schools?
Aided school, all primary school are aided.
Aided schools.
Local government. Council is a local government. Page 7, paragraph 7, page 19.
Does the schools have students over there?
Students are there, as usual.
Hardly primary schools.
It affects pupil-teacher ratio also. I will show one judgment of our High Court. If it affects the pupil-teacher ratio, you cannot.
Yes.
Paragraph 7. Your petitioners found that in some constitution, more than 90% of appointees are the teachers. I am giving you losses. Page 56 of these annexures, that is Nabadip constituency. It starts from 51. 90% are teachers. And another one, 51 is Bamunghat Bhangur constituency. 90% are teachers. And it affects the pupil-teacher ratio also. This point that 90% teachers appointed, rather the point in regard to pupil-teacher ratio, came up before this honorable court once. I give you lots of this is unreported copy. I am talking about
Yes.
This is only kindly see the present writ petition has been preferred, challenging inter alia and order dated passed by the respondent number 5. This says, that all respondent number 5 is a teacher, section 13CC, as I placed before lawsuit qualifying date. Lord, your lordship take a cursory glance, straightway come to internal page 5 of the judgment.
Yes.
Undisputably, there are only two primary teachers, including the petitioners and the state school, as mandatorily required under the provisions of the RTE Act. The guidelines which have been framed by the concerned ministry do not suffer from any jurisdictional error, inasmuch as the same have been framed on the basis of the authority conferred under Section 35 of the Act. For implementation of provisions of the Act, duties relating to elections to the local authority of the state legislature or parliament in Section 27 of the RTE Act have been explained by the guidelines, stating that the state duties relate to conduct of election and the consequent deployment of teachers on the days of poll and counting, the time spent on training imparted to them, and collection of election materials for such deployment, and that all other duties in relation to electoral revisions will be undertaken on holidays and during non-teaching hours and non-teaching days. As such, argument of Mr. Chaudhary that the guidelines do not pertain to implementation of the is not acceptable by this court. The argument of Mr. Chaudhary that the conferment of the benefits to the petitioner would open to floodgates is also not acceptable by this court. Only because there is a possibility of floodgate litigation, the valuable right of a citizen cannot be permitted to be taken away. It is well known that a decision is an authority what it decides and not what can logically be deduced therefrom. Even a slight distinction in fact or an additional fact may make a lot of difference in decision-making process. The questions answered by this on Supreme Court in the Gujarat Assembly elections reported in, as now I have shown to your lordships, have no application in the present case. It is true that the judgment in the case of St. Mary's was delivered prior to the comings of the RTE Act, but the issue urged in the same is identical to the list involved in the present matter, and answering the issue as to whether the service of the teachers of the government school during school times can be utilized for election purposes. It is categorically observed in paragraph 33. We would, however, notice that the election commissions before us categorically stated that as far as possible, teachers would be put on electoral revision works on holidays, non-teaching days, and non-teaching hours, whereas non-teaching staff would be on duty anytime. We therefore direct that all teaching staff should be
Yes, I have read it.
So therefore, your lordships kindly also see the Right to Education Act once. Well, Section 27.
Let me hear the Election Commission. What stand they have to take?
Please come to page 41. Booth level officers, they are appointed for collecting actual field information. Please come to page 41.
41.
In pursuance of the provision of subsection 2 of section 13B of the Representation of People Act 1950, read with the Election Commission's letter of 2006 and 2016, the electoral registration officer for so and so assembly hereby designates in consultation with district election officer, the officer of the state government, local body or educational institution specified in column 2 of the table below as the booth level officer for the part of the electoral roll under so and so constituency in the state of West Bengal as specified in column 1 of the said table against such officer, state government, local body or educational institutions, then not the duties are prescribed. So it's not a unilateral decision that the commission has taken. It is done in consultation with including officers, including the school. Not the best authority to decide as to whether a student, and not, this is probably a misapplied misapprehension in this case, because if your lordship kindly comes to page 73 of the writ application, now, this is not being done after declaration of election this time. And this is why not all the judgments not which your lordships have been pleased to consider thus far is probably once the election notification is made, declaring a date of election, then the process continues or commences. Now, this is done at least 6 months prior to the date of announcement of the election process this time. Please have a look at page 73. Now, 48,000 have already been drafted, out of which 50 are today or before your lordships only. Page 73, clause C, clause D. Teachers shall be drafted minimally as booth level officers. However, where necessary, they should be drafted for booth level officer work during holidays and during non-teaching hours and non-teaching days so as to avoid any loss of academic work. It must be ensured that no teacher of a single teacher school is deployed for this purpose. Now, please come to clause J on that page, the last clause. The activities for BLOs should be planned in such a way it does not affect the working of their parent department. So, they have probably been, what probably affects them is they might be called on holidays or not.
It's an apprehension.
It's an apprehension.
That they may be called.
May be called.
This is in general an order, page 41. As of now, duties under the Representation of People's Act have not been allotted to any of
as of date.
Officers.
But if they will be allotted, they will be done not following for the teachers, not following this guideline. And what this is done in consultation with the schools.
And in line with the Supreme Court order.
The Supreme Court judgment.
Which also says.
And what this is the first time that this drafting is done much before the date of announcement of the election.